Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle. Hey, in my series Freemasonry and Satanism. Wow, it's been an interesting last few videos. Trying to complete my series up to 150. When I started the series back in 2013, I never expected to have done so many videos. You can go on my website, rickmiracle.com, and see the list like that. 3 pages of videos. And the third page. And you can see they all don't have part 1. Some of them have part 6 and 7 and 8. So that's about 50 video series per page. And some of the series I have 2 videos, part 7, part 6, part 7. Even some of them part 12, like the Blue Lodge Handbook series number 61. 12 2-hour videos. So anyways, when I restructured the series, combining similar topics or authors into a particular series, I had a bunch of holes to fill, as you can see here with the red lines there. So some of the most recent ones was the Limits of Growth, the Club of Rome. So apparently the elite Illuminati Zionist secret societies, groups, entities, lodges, cults, whatever you want to call them, have come to the conclusion that they don't need so many people on the planet anymore. The reason they had or desired large populations historically is because one kingdom might fight another kingdom for control. And of course, if you had more troops, you'd probably win the war. So I made something on that one. The other one I made recently, Clouds of Secrecy. Leonard Cole, the government being involved in testing biological weapons on we the people. The day after Roswell, did a UFO really crash? Did they reverse engineer the technologies? What's true? Psychic Warrior, series number 10, David Morehouse. Is the government training people to be psychics, remote viewers, leave their body? Is such a thing possible? I made a lot of videos on many different topics in my pursuit to try to find out what the heck is going on. So I'm closing in on a couple milestones, the end of 4 years and up to the number 150, which is over 300 videos. 500 hours on YouTube. And I will be looking for another location for my videos, as YouTube seems to be censoring the information, demonetizing my videos, and even on my email address, Google or Yahoo, apparently that's being censored also. For 13 years, I would read press releases, type in comments to other people's comments, and they would type in a comment back to my comment, giving me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. 13 years. I have tens of thousands of these press releases cataloged and printed out and saved on the computer. But recently, and more than once, when I go to cut and paste a press release for my archives that I use in my videos, they won't let me. You can highlight it and hit the copy button. And then when you go to paste it into your document, nothing shows up. So they figured out how to do that. So I expect those kinds of problems to increase. As we all are aware, a lot of people are waking up, and they need to ramp up the propaganda, like with the gun shootings and bombings and terrorism, to try to pass laws where they can disarm the American people, the world's people. And now with the free speech issue, they're trying to incite hatred, so it seems, with the Black Lives Matter versus the White Lives Matter and so many other groups, so that it will cause incitement and hatred and riots, whether fabricated with crisis-paid actors. Crowdsondemand.com, apparently there's been some exposure that these organizations provide people for these demonstrations. So I can see that at some point they will have to clamp down and make it a severe crime to be talking about the truth. The pending New Age and New World Order, if it's pending anymore, they feel that they've accomplished. I've shown videos where even Simon Peres, the 3-time president of Israel, says that the world has changed, and those who resist and don't go along will be poor and irrelevant. That nationalism does no longer exist. It's globalism, and we all have to play by the rules. Whose rules? And if I remember reading from the Encyclopedia Judaica, I've made many videos on those books since I acquired them last year. Historically, the Jewish people, in many countries, they called it the Jewish problem. For 2,500 years, there's been this problem, and it appears we're about to embark on a world where these people that had problems with the rest of the world, everywhere they went, will now, in cahoots with the Illuminati, secret societies, and other cults, actually be controlling the world, and they do not want free speech to be available. They want to suppress it. So I'm trying to fill in the holes on my series that when I resorted them. Sorry to drag this out. So this particular book review will be on underground bases and tunnels. Richard Sauder, PhD. What is the government trying to hide? So I purchased this book years ago. I read it. It just never got into my video series because I had so many other books to do. And I had to do them according to my intuition, what I thought was a good way of presenting them. For example, on my list, I started out with the Freemason Bible. The second video was the Illuminati by a Jewish author in Canada with a PhD, Henry McCall. Common Sense by Thomas Paine, some document that was created back when the America declared independence from Britain. Mysterious Phenomena of the Human Psyche back in 2013. Citizen's Handbook and the Constitution. That was number 5 in my series. And number 6 was Remote Viewing with Tim Rifat. Confessions of an Economic Hitman was John Perkins, number 7. The Protocols of Zion was number 8. And The Bloodlines of the Illuminati by Fritz Springmeier was number 9. And Psychic Warrior, another remote viewing series, David Morehouse. So that's just the first 10. And remember, I had been reading books for almost 10 years before I decided I needed to share this information. And now I'm up to series 150, which will be released shortly. But in the meantime, we're going to do series number 31, one of those filler videos I have to do, on a book that I acquired and read years ago, which was the foundation of my thinking now. I had to do a lot of work for me to figure out what the heck is going on. Is anything going on? What kind of threats are there to mankind? What is the new age, the new world order? Do UFOs and aliens exist? Have they reversed engineered? Where did Nikola Tesla get the information for his inventions? He said he was communicating with the other side. He heard things, visions, dreams. It all comes together. There is this other reality. Like that one book review I did, A Separate Reality, with Carlos Castienda going down to Mexico, spending a lot of time with a shaman, taking peyote and other drugs to go into trances and leave his body and see this other dimension. Like the remote viewing, like the mysterious phenomena. So that was just up to Series 10. If you go look up my list on my website, rickmiracle.com, you can go to the left-hand side, see the entire list, cut and paste it, print it out, and use it for a little cheat sheet so you can watch the series you want to and watch other videos by those authors I did and see if you come up with some of the same conclusions I did. I believe there's only one truth, but a lot of people these days will tell you, well, Rick, there's more than one truth. So I'm trying to figure out how you can relate to that. If the question is, are there aliens or are there not aliens? It seems to me it's a yes or no question. There's not two truths. There's either other beings or they're not. Are we humans the only ones on the planet? There's only one truth. We either are or we're not. Are we spiritual beings in these biological bodies? It's not a two-truth answer, in my opinion. We either are spiritual beings in these biological bodies, or we're not. The evidence seems to clearly indicate that we are. So, do they have underground bases and tunnels and a whole system set up with a government? Are they stockpiling supplies like truck drivers have reported driving into these tunnels? And what does it mean? So I'll read a little bit from the book. Published in 1995. So 6 years before 2001, 9/11, which changed the world and was the catalyst, the event like Pearl Harbor that allowed the government to invade the Middle East, NATO, the Pentagon, to apparently bring about a greater Israel. So you were eliminating millions and millions of Arabs for just a few people in Israel. These people all had to die or be sent to Europe or America in the middle of the night so that these people could grow and build a bigger country called Greater Israel. Go on Yahoo image site and look up maps of Greater Israel. And there's links beside each picture, and it tells the story. Look up the maps of Palestine and see since 1948, when the United Nations allocated just a small portion of Palestine for the creation of the State of Israel. And now, of course, the Palestine people barely have a small portion of that country for themselves, and it's slowly evaporating down to nothing. So what's it got to do with underground bases? What's it got to do with gray aliens, reptilian, Zionism, Illuminati, spiritualism, channeling, remote viewing, psychic research, terrorism, biodiversity, sustainability, sky spraying of chemicals in our sky, HAARP transmitters, microwave transmitters, the 5G network coming to a neighborhood near you and I really quick with frequencies that seem to be quite detrimental according to a lot of scientists. Biological warfare, weather control, and so much more. It's so vast, sometimes you need a chart just to remember all the components. Which, if you read the Protocols of Zion and the report from Iron Mountain, that's part of the plan. It boggles the mind. All right, so page 5, a foreword, a cautionary note to UFO buffs by Richard Sauder, PhD. Persistent rumors of secret underground bases and deep underground tunnel systems have swirled through the field of ufology for some years now. These underground installations are variously said to be constructed, staffed, and operated by covert human agencies, either part of the military-industrial complex or the various federal government agencies, or by extraterrestrial or alien beings, the so-called little grays, often mentioned in the UFO literature, or by both covert human agencies and aliens working together in secret underground installations. I will say at the outset that my research has not revealed whether or not little grays even exist, much less whether or not they are living and working in underground installations. Perhaps the little grays really do exist. Perhaps they do not. So I think I'll start this conversation with that topic. Do aliens exist? Do the UFOs exist? How much material is out there? So I made a short little video looking at my bookcase of UFO books and some documents and newsletters and research material that I've collected over the past 13 years. Just to give us a foundation, do UFOs exist? Does all this documentation appear to verify that people are seeing something? So watch this video. It's only about 30-something minutes long. So if you get into it and you're convinced aliens do exist and you don't want to see my video I just made, you can skip ahead 30-35 minutes and continue with this video. But if you do watch it, it should give you an overwhelming feeling that, there's just too much material out there. These people are seeing something. But what are they seeing? And what does this have to do with the occult, mysticism, the Kabbalah, witchcraft, the Illuminati, Zionist, communism? Are there these beings in cahoots with evil humans who believe that they need to curtail the human population, reduce it by 90%, so they can control the planet, enslave the people they have left alive, whether it's for sex slaves, food, worker slaves, warriors, entertainment, whatever? And are they trying to figure out a way, like Project Bluebeam, to eliminate 90% of the population by some deceptive means, making it look like a natural act, planet Nibiru, earthquakes, volcanoes, some kind of technological feat that makes everybody believe it's a God-made act. It's not a secret society man-made event in cahoots with aliens or not. Anyways, watch the video. Hello, this is Rick Miracle. I'd like to just make a short video about a tour of some of the books I've collected over the years on UFOs and aliens. And I went down to Mexico, the Cozumel, to the Tulum Mayan ruins and got some memorabilia. And over here to my right are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 high. The boxes on the top of the shelf are included, not the ones on the top. But these are the 150 books or authors, it's almost 200 books, of the videos that I've made so far. About 300 plus videos, 500 hours on YouTube in my collection. So I thought we'd just take a short look at the UFO books. Get an idea how far I've gone here in 13 years. And you can see the titles: Flying Saucers Uncensored, Scientific Study of Unidentified Flying Objects, Situation Red, Flying Saucers on the Attack. You can pause the video and see all the labels. The Gods of Eden, Into the Fringe, Extraterrestrials Among Us, Frank Scully, Behind the Flying Saucers, Whitley Strieber, Hidden Agenda. That should be an interesting book to read. Borderlands, Mothman Prophecy, Our Haunted Planet, John Keel, Gods of Aquarius, Science of Extraterrestrials, UFOs on the bottom, Witness to Roswell, Bud Hopkins, Witness, UFO Alien Abductions, UFO Crash at Roswell, The Gods Have Landed, Major Donald Kehoe, Aliens from Space, Richard Byrd, who apparently went down to South America and flew inside the Earth. Here's another book on the Hollow Earth. Here's another book right here on the Hollow Earth. Takes a while to collect all this stuff. A Journey to the Earth's Interior. Have the poles really been discovered? Some other ones here. Blindsided, Planet X Passes. So there you have it, some UFO books in my collection, and the videos, which includes UFOs on some of these videos in the series I've made, Freemasonry and Satanism, about 200 books. I'd venture to guess about a dozen of them are on UFOs and aliens. So I thought I would just share the 13 years of collecting of books and research, and I've got some other material to show. Years ago, I started collecting the UFO Investigator magazines, published by the National Investigations Committee of Aerial Phenomena, as you can see here. Got a table with some of my UFO material spread out. So let's take a look. Hynek hits UFO investigation, confirms evidence. Pressure mounting to end debunking. September 1966. UFO scorches highway. McDonald prompts press, scores Air Force incompetent. Congressman Wyman pushes congressional hearings. Worldwide sightings showing increase. Huge UFOs reported. February 1968. Surprise warning, UFO investigator. Hypnotized policeman reports encounter. New close-ups, pacings. New sightings of UFOs which maneuvered or hovered at low altitudes, paced vehicles, and shot out beams of light have been reported in the U.S. and other countries during recent months. March 1968. Congressional hearings on the UFO problems. August 1968. Congressman Rose. Symposium on unidentified flying objects. Hearings before the Committee on Science and Aeronautics, U.S. House of Representatives. The battle over UFOs, Nightcap preparing for a crucial year of 1969, October 1968. The truth about the Condon report, January 1969. Condon report rejections increase. So they tried to do a cover-up with the Condon report. I have the book. And 4 UFOs pace aircraft. So this stuff was pretty common knowledge back then. People were joining these UFO organizations, getting these newsletters. Air Force Colonel, air crew encountered giant UFO. Romanian sightings revealed, 1969. Submerging UFO reported. UFO clearinghouse recommended. And look at one of these magazines. How many pages? 1, 2, 3. That's like 8 pages of each one of these newsletters. Some of them are thinner. Prominent scientist praises Nightcap, calls Air Force study appalling. University starts UFO probe, 1966. Air Force admits faulty UFO investigations. Unidentified flying reports. Canadian Parliament members urge UFO study. New UFO book, I probably have that one. Flying Saucers, Serious Business. Yes, that was on my bookshelf I just looked at. What member can do, what one member can do. Colonel Joseph Byram. Here we go. People in their cups often see saucers. Air Force officer. 5 million say they've seen saucers. Looks like this page is stuck here. Alright, police chase low-flying UFO, April 1966. Mars canals, real new film reports show. So lots of research I still have to do. I've read these over the years. Blackout by UFOs at St. Paul, 1965. Nightcap investigation widens. NASA to probe Mars mystery moon. Mariner to Mars, 1963. So you can see I have an interesting hobby. The UFO evidence. A preview for Congress outlining Nightcap's forthcoming project on its 5-year investigation of identified flying objects. New sightings by Navy FFA airline observers. So I collected these over the years to have my own evidence that I can go review, maybe even create a book, write a book. Majority leaders' support indicates early congressional actions. Doesn't that say everything? What do you think our politicians believe when they take action and legislation supposedly to protect the people, prepare for some natural disaster, UFO invasion, Project Bluebeam, World War III, nuclear attack, and all these other fear propaganda pieces of news. Planet X, Nibiru, droughts, global warming. I just thought it was time to take another look at this stuff. Apparently they changed the format of the UFO Investigator in 1970. You can see the difference in the design. Nightcap redeploys. NICAP and April conference. Major Kehoe retires. I've got a couple books written by him. NICAP found databank. NICAP elects new president. Sighting advisory. Let's take a look inside this one. $5,000 says UFOs not from Earth. $10,000 says they are. Man or non-man, what impacted discovery of extraterrestrial intelligences? New data on Hydra Dale case. Crew has 3 sightings, not 1. Third sighting offers most details. So I do need to go through these things and compile videos or a book. Radar Man reports close encounter. Hynek book due next year. Sighting advisory. So I guess each one of these NICAP reports has a list of the sightings, pictures, people, stories, postmortem on Blue Book. Will the lid stay on the coffin? So do they intend to tell us what's going on? Media showing new interest in UFOs. 1970. Wow, I remember this. But I don't remember it being back in 1970. Rotating rocket leaves an ethereal pinwheel in its wake. It's something like this in Norway. So that's what it was. They would have us believe it was something strange. Air Force techs favors UFO study. Air cadets urged to keep open mind. 1970. AAAS raises UFO question anew. New theory on sightings evokes quick dissent. Blocks of life found on meteorite. Colorado study draws new fire. Did Condon read his own report? Sighting advisory. It's January 1971. Let's see what kind of pictures they might have in here. Lighting in the water, apparently near the Caspian Sea. NASA studies underwater UFO case. Project Access, getting the alphabet from the soup. Flight of the Phoenix. 1971, UFO investigator, NICAP report. NICAP probes crashed object report. Here it says skin diver enters water at Scargo Lake to search for strange object that reportedly ruptured lake's icy crust. Hidden West Coast cases uncovered. Sighting advisory. UFOs exist, but not here, says physicist. ETI has same problem we do. Too far to go. March 1971. Foreign object interest appears high. 1971. NICAP to show in London Photo Fair. Exhibit to focus on photographic analysis. Status theory gets more rebuffed. NICAP consultant to publish critique. Contactee loses court case. Money must be returned, says judge. Here's a little cartoon. Let's deny our existence. Underwater UFO case still unverified. Ship's officers disclaim all knowledge. May 1971. Industrial poll favors UFOs. Condom report is soundly rejected. I did visit Roswell, went to the Roswell Museum. Some nice, interesting pictures. Amazing Roswell mysteries. Here's an interesting paper. Eisenhower's 1954 meeting with extraterrestrials. The 15th anniversary of first contact. Research study number 8. So there's plenty of material. Here's another document. Vatican, it's okay to believe in aliens. Britain releases batch of files on UFO sightings. So you can see I have plenty of press releases here. And research material. Latest UFO sightings. So through the years, whenever I was doing the research, I would go look up the current sightings. This is January 24th, 2014. Triangle-shaped formation hovering over Tallahassee, Florida, April 2014. Stationary UFO hovering over Margaret, Florida, March 2014. Strange UFO activity filmed over Florida, March 2014. Just showing you some of the information I did. Here's the MUFON reports. You can go look on the internet and check this out for current information for yourself. But here's the case number, the description, and the location. Kabuk saw strange lights, so I recorded the event in HD and have the footage now, according to this person in Baton Rouge, LA. Flashing light went quickly across the sky. 4 white lights appeared in my backyard. Flash of bluish white. Bright silver disc with round appendage on top, looked like a hat. Frenchtown, New Jersey. Trial of a UFO in outer space. Whatever that meant. I thought it was the moon, but it was on the western horizon too early in the evening. Have low crescent shape that faded before my eyes in under 15 minutes. Toronto, Canada. So I've got plenty of stuff like that you can see. I research all kinds of topics. Ancient artifacts. Drawings. The Saga of Dr. Dan Burwish. When it comes to the truth, is stranger than fiction. Dr. Dan Burwish story feel they have found the poster child, biowarfare, and mind melds with living extraterrestrials. Daily angel visits, designer viruses that incorporate local ET strains. Go look this up. The website was here. Can't go over everything, but I thought I'd just make a short video. The big picture, a hypothesis. The Roswell catastrophe. NOAA, dark star, global warming. You can go find this document. Insurance underground bases, Project Preserve Destiny, Martian colony. So I'm just going to move along on my little collection of information here I have. I can do a much more thorough video presentation. Journal of UFO History. You can go look up these documents. That's why I'm showing them in this video. Congressional Interest Continued, Library of Congress. Here's the document. U.S. Air Force intelligence officers saw UFO formation in 1947. UFO updates, Toronto, 2004. In 1966, Ohio cops chased a UFO into Pennsylvania. Nice big thick of documents here. Warning, this document contains information affecting the national security of the United States within the meaning of espionage law. The transmissions or the relevant revelation of its context, any manner is to unauthorized person is prohibited by law. So it's been uncensored, as you can see here, newly released information. This report presents factual technical data on a AV Row Canada Limited proposed development, Project Y2 secret. This proposal is the second of two designs which can be classified as radical aircraft designs. Wow, that's a big, thick document here too. Gotta be a couple hundred pages. Possible military applications. Possible military applications of paranormal phenomena, long and short distance information transfer, equipment control, system damage, man-machine interconnecting, body control and healing, areas of Soviet investigation, telepathy, precognition, psychokinetics. Just showing some information I collected over the years. Advanced research projects agencies, paranormal phenomenon, briefing on a net assessment study. Okay, over here, got some magazines I've collected over the years. Even John Moore the other day on the Planet X Nibiru passing, and a lot of other people seem to confirm we never went to the moon. Can you imagine trying to take that flimsy craft from the Earth, launching it, flying to the moon, halfway slowing down, circling the moon, landing on the moon, taking back off, speeding up, and going back to Earth with one tank of fuel? There's logical reasons why we did not go to the moon, at least the way they said. Open Minds, ETs, and Religion. Open Minds magazine, UFOs in Ancient Rome. I saw this at a yard sale. This was laying there for 50 cents. UFOs, why do we believe? More documents. Extraterrestrials, entities and technology, recovery and disposal. Top secret, MAGIC eyes only. Stuff I collected over the years. I was walking around and they were having a peace rally and no war now. UFO sightings. More recent reports while I was doing my research over the years. In 2009, I saw a very bright light that was not moving with binoculars. I saw the light changing shape. Santa Ana, California. More books I have here. UFO evidence. You can go find these on the internet, 1964. Here's reports. Glowing cigar-like object. Dove labeled off, sharp left turn left. So all these documents you can get on the internet or used bookstores. I have numerous binders over the years that I've been collecting material. Joined Dr. Greer for a contact training experience. Under the stars, welcoming ETs in universal peace. Dr. Greer will offer a Sanskrit puja for the group, lead the group in multiple guided meditations, and introduce the group to the philosophy and practice of the CE-5 contact protocols he has developed that are also featured in the Sirius film. There will be inspirational kirtan music set to the mood. So this sounds like meditation or yoga or some kind of incantations to communicate with spiritual beings. More documents. Robert Dean. Got to get out of the sunlight here. All right. NATO's secret UFO assessment, setting the record straight, exopolitics. The file was given the highest security classification, cosmic top secrets. Wow. So I got a lot of stuff here. Let's see what else I have here. The growing fiction of superior space aliens. Bob Lazar. Galactic Federation members. Charles Hall and the Tall Whites. Exopolitics, the study of politics of extraterrestrial guide. My point I'm trying to make here, there's a lot of information out there. Nikolai Tesla, Tall White, ETs at Nellis Air Force Base, Las Vegas, Nevada. Planetary energies. So our star friends are the Palladians. We're going to talk about a lot of this. Syrians, Arcturians, Nerubians, Venusians, United Race of Orion. Quite a huge amount to study here. Intergalactic radio station. Alien agenda. World Zionists play Russian roulette with alien ETs. So I've got some more books here. I studied the different types of aliens. The Anunnaki, the Arcturians, the back out of the light from behind me. The Arcturians, or the Aryans, Telosians, the Blondes, the Palladians, as the Nordics. Shapeshifter, the Chameleons. I have all these tabs here. Today, all the Roman signposts have been defaced and deleted, for something terrible happened in Edinburgh. At a time of serious instability of the Roman Empire, the Jews of the tribe of Gad, the Silurians, revolted, and retributions from Rome was terrible indeed. There was a massacre of 80 to 100,000 people by the legions and the emperor. So what's all this got to do with aliens? Different beings, different stories here. Same document. It was said that the new hybrid human dynasties would breed and out-reproduce the outflight of the Aryan lines, and that the princess mother of the human species was to be destroyed by crashing her flying vehicle into a local mountain. And some more documented sightings through the course of my research. 2012, Oakland Park, very small cluster of flashing lights. Here we have one in Anchorage, Alaska. 5 orange red balls equally apart moving south of Anchorage. And I have more and more. I think this document belongs over there. Then I got one on Dulce, the underground base out there in New Mexico. I was up there at in the area at Santa Fe, visited some of these areas. The alien fifth column on Earth. Dulce, New Mexico, and the Nazi connection. So anyways, over here, I've been making this charts up that you can see. Robert Lazar, propulsion physicist, Area 51, hired to reverse engineer. Was told it took 55 corrections. Dr. Carla Turner, Philip Schneider, Simon Parks, Billy Edward Meyer, John Lash, Joseph Farrell. As you can see, I've got a little bit more to do with this chart. David Wilcott, Corey Good, Bud Hopkins, Richard Dolan, Kenneth Arnold, David Icke, Barbara Marciniak, John Lear, Stephen Greer, Stuart Swervo, Whitley Stryber, Heineck, Daniken, and Keyhole. And if I turn my chart over, apparently the types of aliens, the Palladians, the tall whites, the Zeta Reticuli, Insectoid, Anunnaki, Archons, Gray aliens, Nephilim, Watchers, Mayans, Aliens, Lyrians, Blue Avians, Arcturians, Black-Eyed Children, Andromeda race, Reptilian race, Tall Black Reptoids, and Galactic Federation on the bottom. And you can see I've got a few lines to fill in here to complete this chart. And lastly, another look at this bookcase. I talked about the first row of books. Let's just focus in on this row here. The Anunnaki of Nibiru, Dark Mission, The Secret History of NASA, The Sons of the Greys, The Watchers, Gray Aliens, Our Cosmic Ancestors, Space Invaders, The UFO Enigma, Communication with Extraterrestrial Intelligence, UFO Secret History, Contact, Little Gray Bastards, Flying Saucers Have Landed, Gods and Amnesia, Projection Beta, Project Beta, Geopolitics, Kennedy's Last Stand. So apparently Kennedy was involved with trying to disclose UFO and alien material also. Oh, Encounter the Pallades. A look inside the UFOs. UFOs, alien presence, the hunt for 0 Point. Casebook for Alternative 3. Apparently they have several plans for eliminating the population from Earth. UFOs, secret societies, and world control. Jim Keith will be talking about this book. Alien Encounters, Flying Saucers, The Complete Book of UFOs, Astronomers Report ETs and UFOs. Got a couple more here. Witness to Roswell. Tom Carey, John Schmidt, Richard Dolan, more alien essays. Richard Dolan, alien essays. Look at the gray aliens. Forbidden Science down here. We've got the Soviet UFO files anti-gravity, UFO propulsion, even UFO books for kids. Been collecting all kinds of stuff. UFO photographs, flying saucers from outer space, even the HARP transmitter. I've been going over this stuff here. These transmitters are planning to microwave, control the weather, all kinds of dangerous technologies. Wonders in space. Secret life, galactic diplomacy. Moth prophecy, Mothman. The Androson affair. The monuments of Mars, forbidden science, Earth changes Bible, violent universe, flying saucers over Los Angeles, above talk secret, close encounters of the fourth kind, God in space, flying saucers, serious business, the greatest lie on Earth, the truth about UFOs, the mystery of caves. So there you have it. A little short synopsis of some of the materials I have on UFOs and aliens. What's going on? What's real? What's not real? So as you could see, I have investigated for 13 years, collected newsletters, books, documents, pictures. I've got whole assortments of pictures of different varieties of beings that apparently existed and are on engravings, hieroglyphics all over the world. Some of them are four-dimensional versus a human three-dimensional. Different kinds of entities talked about in the Theosophist Society, the New Age, the occult, magic, witchcraft. This stuff is documented throughout history. What's it got to do with UFOs and aliens? Does it have anything? The Hindu religion, all kinds of fourth-dimensional beings. Pixies, angels, demons. What do we have? What are we talking about? Now, if this other world does exist, which apparently, to me, it does, even with Aleister Crowley, known as the evilest man alive, and changed the spelling of his name so it would equal 666, which is the mark of the beast, which is biblical prophecy, also represented as the six-pointed star. The outer edges are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. The inside pyramids around it are 6, 6, 6, and inside it's divided by 6. So the six-pointed star is supposed to represent 666. Anyways, I did make a video series number 23 on this book, the Book of the Law, and this is their religion. Do as thou wilt. There is no law above that. Do as thou wilt is the whole of the law. Anything you want to do. It's your life experience, isn't it? If you feel compelled to murder, to rape, sex with children, do as thou wilt. Now, I've had people argue with me and tell me there shouldn't be any commandments, there shouldn't be any laws. But the million-dollar question is, where did Aleister Crowley get this information for this book? From some kind of master or being? Well, funny that we should talk about that, but you can find documents on the computer. Aleister Crowley's Lamb and Little Gray Men. So there's pictures here of the beings. Aleister Crowley drew these sketches of the beings he was in contact with. And I was thinking about that. I said, whoa, that's kind of interesting. Where did I see these kinds of beings before? Then I remember the movie E.T. And then I remembered this movie, The Lord of the Rings. Look at the little being, the golem, on there. So they had to entrust their lives to Golem. I think most people have seen The Lord of the Rings. And he looks like an E.T. He looks like a gray alien. Similar. And it occurred to me, where have I heard that word Golem before? I heard about it in the Encyclopedia Judaica. There's a lot here on that. You can look it up on your computer, but right there where it's highlighted, it says Golem. And it would include this whole column over here to where my finger is, all the way up. Let's see how much more on the next page. Another whole page. And in this Encyclopedia Judaica, I bought online used bookstores. I have the entire set now. When I looked up Golem, there was this little clipping inside. Whoever owned this encyclopedia set before me was collecting things. But anyways, it says here, June 27th, 1989, a superhuman myth. In the cluttered and claustrophobic graveyard of the Josfor in Prague lies the tomb of a rabbi who, as the 16th century legend has it, used Kabbalistic powers to transfer a lump of clay into a living giant of superhuman strength. The giant golem was intended as a shield and support for the Jewish people in the time of intimidation. But the project ended in tragedy. The myth, with its undertones of Frost Prometheus, looking forward to the 20th century technological experiment, is inspiration for the new opera by John Kaskin. So apparently, through magic, they could manifest these beings. Let me just read a little bit from the Encyclopedia Judaica, book number 7, F through H, which would be G, page 753. Golem, a creature, particularly a human being, made in an artificial way by the virtue of a magic act through the use of holy names. So remember the Zionist, Kabbalist, mysticism, the Jewish people who are into magic and some people into witchcraft and the Illuminati. There are videos on YouTube where people have escaped from the Illuminati and talked about the rituals. I've talked a lot about this in my videos. So they used holy names, these holy names of God, to manifest things. The idea that it is possible to create living beings in this manner is widespread in the magic of many people. So there's a lot more here to read, but I'm just trying to show some examples of what we're dealing with, and it seems clear with the reptilians. We're talking about serpent beings, and they're mentioned in the Bible. And the gray aliens appear to be some kind of subservient manufactured creatures that served their master, as described by many abductees in their stories when they were being operated on. So do these creatures exist from this other dimension? Did Nikola Tesla and many other famous people who are into mysticism, meditation, yoga, psychic abilities, meditation, mediums communicating with channelers, are they in communication with some beings like Aleister Crowley identifies with, like Helena Blavatsky in the Theosophist Society, who created the Lucifer magazine, said? And are they in cahoots with our government to depopulate the planet? And do they have many underground tunnels and cities being made ready for the event? That's the question. So let me get to the book. All right, page 21. The military underground, Air Force, Army, and Navy. I remember I'm doing book reviews. I'm not trying to read an entire book. You can go find this book online and many others like it. Page 21, the military underground, Air Force, Army, and Navy. So can you imagine the amount of money that has been spent if what's in this book is true? It is important, first of all, to realize that the United States military has been heavily involved in underground construction for decades. I'm only reading my highlighted portions. The author says, I will also discuss at some length planning documents generated by various military agencies pertaining to construction and operation of underground bases and tunnel systems. These planning documents are real. They were written over a 25-year period beginning in the late 1950s and continuing up to the mid-80s. So a lot has happened since World War II ended in 1945. And in 1946 or 47, the United Nations allocated part of Palestine to the Israeli people to create the state of Israel, with the financial backing of the Illuminati family, the Rothschilds. This is all verifiable information. And even with the government, CIA and other secret society officials, remember many, if not all, of our politicians come from one secret society or organization to, they rise to the top and then they get assisted to become a senator, representative, even wealthy CEOs of corporations, the elites, and the presidency. So it isn't normal everyday citizens coming out of nowhere that can get these jobs. The elite would not allow it. And every now and then, like President John Kennedy, one of them may get in office and have a change of heart and want to expose it all, as John Kennedy said in his famous speech. Secret societies are repugnant to the American way of life, and I intend to expose it. So what else was he going to expose? Here's another book I have to read. Kennedy's Last Stand, Eisenhower, UFOs, MJ-12, and JFK's Assassination. Ought to be an interesting read. And then apparently, back there in that time period, 1950s, they came up with 3 plans to depopulate the planet. They had all these books. This is going to be my next book review, I believe. Population Bomb. And I just did one on the limits to growth. There was a reason for that. So we can see what their concerns are with this new age, new world order, and with the advent of all the technologies they have. Apparently, we the people have become the enemy. So they have 3 plans to depopulate the planet. The first one was nuking the planet. and they've tried to nix that one. I guess it's the last alternative. If they can't reduce the population any other way with alternative 2 and 3, alternative 1 may be forced to be executed, nuking the planet. All right. Just showing you that some of the thought process I went through over the years to come to the conclusions I have come to in my pursuit of trying to figure out, as I call it, WTH. What the heck is going on? All right, the Air Force and Project RAND. One of the most prominent names in the early history of U.S. government planning for underground bases is the Project RAND, R-A-N-D. Look up RAND Corporation. You should find a lot of information. Became operational in November 1948. So it was a busy time back then. The creation of Israel in the Palestinians' country, and all this activity to give us the hippie age, heroin, cocaine, LSD, creating the hippie movement, and in Europe they called it festivals. And all those books I have on UFOs and aliens were being published, all those sightings that are still going on today. And of course we know now they're dumping chemicals in the sky, bringing us the 5G network, and the HARP transmitters are located all over the world. So at some point, this big machine that's being put in place will have to be turned on. And maybe that could be really soon. They bring the 5G network online and force everybody to be microchipped because of the hatred that they incite, riots and revolutions, and the people will be totally in chaos and anarchy and suffering to an untold undescribable way. No water, no food. Who knows what can happen with a plague, Ebola, phosphorus from the sky like they do over there in the Middle East, machine gunning people, microwave weapons. Anyways, if they bring this 5G network online and they want everybody to be microchipped, you can go look up VeriChip. It just makes you wonder what's going to happen and when's it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Are there the books out there? I think I've proven that the books are out there. The mission of RAND Corporation was to work on cutting-edge problems in the realm of engineering, economics, mathematics, physics, and social science. So we can see by what this PhD author says, that's why I do book reviews by all these famous authors. I mean, you got to have something to base your thought process on, what you believe. You can't just watch the nightly news and believe that stuff. So RAND Corporation is a good place to start. Let me flip to the next page and see what else it says that I've highlighted when I read this a long time ago. One such facility, little known, is in operation near Albuquerque, New Mexico. The site is referred to as the Kirkland Munitions Storage Complex by the Air Force, which for some years would not comment on what was there, though speculation was rampant that the complex was a nuclear weapons storage area. In 1949, the Air Force dug into one of the ridges in the foothills of the Manzano Mountains near Albuquerque and began to fill it with tunnels and caverns. One of the miners who helped excavate the complex personally told me of blasting out a large chamber underground, 40 foot wide, 30 feet high, 100 feet long. Security during construction was so tight that as soon as his crew completed a tunnel or chamber, they were pulled out and sent away to excavate another portion of the mountain. This was compartmentalization of the most literal kind, intended to ensure that not even the miners who built this underground base would be familiar with its complete layout. And look up Denver Airport. Lots of mysterious stuff going on there. With the paintings at the airport, you can find this on the internet. Underground facilities, a Freemasonic plaque saying where all this came from. Secret societies, Illuminati, One World Order, New Age. Apparently it's Luciferic, according to the Theophist Society. According to Albert Pike, Morals and Dogma. I've made videos on all this stuff. This world of clearly satanic Aleister Crowley, known by everybody, I guess he was from Britain, as the evilest man alive, bragged about his events of pedophilia with children, sacrificing children, and apparently, according to the Illuminati and other entities, eating flesh and drinking blood, which has been recorded in witchcraft and with the blood libel of some of the Jewish people throughout thousands of years, which was the last straw to cause them to be banished from different countries. You think? But they want the right, the freedom of religion, no matter what their religion is, even if it is a satanic religion. So it just boggles the mind. What will this new age and new world order be like? All right, okay, let's go back to the book here. In 1989, the Air Force began construction of a second underground facility within sight of Monzano Base. The new facility, completed in June 1992, is also on land. This is page 25 of this book. Controlled by Kirkland Air Force Base, 95% of the new 285,000 square foot bunker is below ground. So apparently the story is there's all kinds of bunkers and railway systems underground and stocked up with supplies, planning for some event. Remember Jade Helm 15 in 2015, where they were doing military exercises all over the USA? Apparently they have software programs which will be making the executive decisions who lives and who dies. Based on meta tags, maybe the kinds of phone calls you made. They documented what you said, who you talked to, books you purchased, magazines you read. They will determine whether you are a good zombie slave or you are an anti-government belligerent. And this is all in the Protocols of Zion, Communist Manifesto, and many other documents, the Jewish Utopia. And during previous revolutions, they did something called the Purge. They weed out the people that are intelligent and leaders and opposition, and they systematically execute those people. During the Russian Revolution, apparently they executed up to 100 million people, purging the society of undesirables. Who's to decide who's undesirable? I'm not trying to read this entire book. Just want to have this conversation. What do you think? Leave a comment below. This is part of the research I did years ago, and I'm just filling in some blanks, completing my Freemasonry and Satanism series so that I can reevaluate the whole thing after the 150 series are complete. And then probably in the 5th year of my research, I'll go back through the entire 150 books and make a part 2 or a part 7 or a part 8 or a part 4. Just because of what I know now is a lot more than I knew then when I started making videos. And that's a lot more than I knew 13 years ago when I started reading books and embarked on this investigation of W2H. What the heck? All right, the existence of this facility, page 29, raises many questions. The most logical is, are there other tunnels and other high security suites of vaults and rooms deep under Los Alamos? Los Alamos is where they invented and tested the nuclear bombs, the first ones, the 2 that they unleashed on Japan. And I did, when I was at Santa Fe for about 6 months in 2012, I remember driving back to North Carolina in December, and radio talk shows were talking about the end of the world in 2012. But while I was out there in Santa Fe for 6 months, I did go to the Hopi Reservation, the Grand Canyon, Albuquerque, Flagstaff, Los Alamos, Hot Springs, Roswell, where the UFO apparently crashed. Went to the museum, took some pictures. I have to see if I can find a picture of me with my arm around one of those aliens. So I investigated the area quite thoroughly. And I have to say, with a little bit of honesty, and I was telling this to a friend last night, that I was a little suspect of numerous people that I had seen when I was out there on the nightlife in Santa Fe. It's a very interesting town, if you've ever been there. But I was wondering if some of those people were not some kind of hybrid people or in some kind of disguises. It was a little spooky, weird. All right, and going up to Los Alamos, that was a trip. I should try to find those pictures. You go through something like the Grand Canyon to get to this plateau where Los Alamos is. So it's not easily accessible. And while I was there, I had turned on my radiation meter sitting on the seat next to me in the truck. And whenever I entered the town and after I left it, it was on red the entire time. So there was electromagnetic surveillance systems on everything that moved there, according to the red meter light on my meter. Spooky place. All right, was this complex instead actually intended as a high security jail for alien prisoners held against their will, incommunicado behind thick steel doors deep underground? Certainly the time frame of the 1948-1949 is suggestive, since this is the appropriate time when one, possibly more, UFOs were rumored to have crashed and to have been retrieved along with some of the occupants by the U.S. military. So let me look at another book here for a moment. And I do understand this is a lot to take in. This is supposed to just be a brief conversation, this 2-hour video, about the author in this book and some of the material in it. Obviously, I won't be able to read all of this book or very much of it. But like I said, I can always make part 2 and part 3 of this book later on. But this is an introduction. So I'm reading that in that book, and I've got so many books. Here's another one I have here. Underground alien bases. Underground bases. So there's more than one author. Flying saucers come from inside the earth. Look at that little portal on the top of the globe. I'm not advocating that this is true or false. I'm saying I have the books, I read it, and I try to keep an open mind. What the heck is going on? So let me just read a little bit on this book that I highlighted. And the next page, look at this picture. Apparently the fallen angels, and even with the Anunnaki, Zechariah Stitchin's work about the Anunnaki planet Nibiru, they found the human women attractive also. So this is the story in the Bible and other books. Is all that stuff true? So I'm just going to read a little bit here. Does the Mount Archuleta shuttle system connect with the shuttle system which allegedly radiates from Mount Shasta in Northern California? So there's some questions and answers going on here in this book. Yes, Mount Shasta, so that's up there in Washington, is a major site of alien, elder race, reptilian race, human meetings, beginning with Grover Cleveland. Every president in U.S. history has visited Telos City. That's this underground base with aliens. Truman was supposed to have visited the lower realms as a high archon on Earth. He was supposed to have met the king of the world who gave him the keys to the USA. So are they saying that these beings that live in the Earth or in this alien underground base, do they consider themselves kings of the Earth? And did President Truman give these aliens the keys to the USA? Have we been sold out? And the problem they have now is there's just too many people they don't need. So they have to find some plausible way to create some kind of disaster, catastrophe, excuse, Project Bluebeam, alien invasion, whatever, World War III, nuking the planet, some kind of plague, Ebola, botulism, I don't know, starvation, drought, Planet X, chemicals falling from the sky, poisoning all the people. I'm just reading all this stuff, and the words are here. They're not created by me. Whether or not the reigning king of Agartha realms at the time had benevolent or other motives, subjecting America to an outside superpower without congressional consent would be considered high treason. So it does appear, a lot of us can admit, if we're honest, that they are playing the Republicans off the Democrats and vice versa. And it does seem like they promise we the people things like Obama promised us change, and then President Donald Trump promised us to make America great again, and so much more, but it really seems like they're not listening to us or doing things to benefit us. Contraire, they're dumping chemicals in the sky, ready to bring out the 5G network and all kinds of other activities, terror events, staged protests, riots, White Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, even stuff in Europe. So they seem to be moving forward with their plans. So it just might behoove us to have a little knowledge of what and who we're up against. What resources do they have? What resources do they not want you to know they have? Although unelected, appointed individuals working within the executive, military, industrial branch of government might choose to do so of their own violation without congressional or senatorial consent, such an act cannot apply to the America, which is based on the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. So even with the Patriot Act after 9/11, they did take away a lot of our rights, and with a lot of other legislation, they're continuing to do so. I think the right of free speech will eventually be eliminated, forced on the people, because they'll claim the people have gone crazy or something, incitement, hate, and all that, which will have been created by them with paid crisis actors or mind-controlled people or mercenaries. This book was published in 2012 by Global Communications. All right, some predict an inevitable civil war between the electorate, constitutional surface government of the U.S., and the joint humanoid reptoid corporate national global socialist underground New World Order government, which incidentally was bought and paid for by the American taxpayers, and other unsavory money-making projects. A lot of people are aware of CIA, and not all CIA agents, and other organizations, are involved with the cocaine and bringing drugs to America to make money for all these black projects. It's been in the news. The government's been caught more than once. This war will apparently provoke an armed United Nations New World Order invasion of the USA. So this is what I've been saying, and it's in this book. It was published in 2012. Which, according to George Washington's famous vision, I didn't know about this, at Valley Forge in 1777, will ultimately end with an American victory as a result of divine intervention. So will the spiritual world intervene? God. Something like this may be inevitable if freedom is to be preserved on this world and beyond. We should never forget, however, that the New World Order corporate elite and their draconian reptilian masters intend to depopulate, here we go, the surface of this planet and the underground systems as well. So somebody has plans for the future which does not include the useless food eater humans that are here now. Somebody else thinks that this is their planet and that we people were born to be their slaves, which is written in the Jewish Utopia by Professor Hegger, that the William Roberts wrote in the book that I've gone over, The Ultimate World Order. What series is that? 67? So I've been making these videos and researching going on, completing 13 years. And this next paragraph will speak volumes. According to one Navy intelligence source, reading from this book, the 33 plus Masons, 33 degrees plus Masons, there are allegedly several degrees above the 33 degree, which interact directly with the Draconians, with the reptilians, and are part of the interplanetary initiatory lodges, intend to set the left-wing caverns and the right-wing caverns against each other, the Democrats against the Republicans, and the young against the old, and the blacks against the whites, and the straights against the gays, the religious against the anti-religious, Americans against the Chinese against the Russians, maybe, Russians against the Americans, who knows? But these people are in control of the world, and it seems like they're planning for something. The game is in play. Will the people wake up, is the question. Alright, so against each other in order to depopulate the underground realms so that they can impose absolute Bavarian, draconian, global control of both worlds. So apparently they plan on dominating the inner world. Got some other books here. It's all about these gray aliens. Just thought that was kind of interesting. The Lord of the Rings. Little golem creature. Golem is mentioned in the Encyclopedia Judaica I just went over. The Watchers, I've been talking about them. Fallen angels. Archons. I got the books. Gray aliens and the harvesting of souls. The evilest man alive. Aleister Crowley's material shows us the gray aliens. You can look this stuff up. And other satanic beings. When I went over the Book of the Law, got quite a few pages of documentation on this. You can look it up, do a little research. So 10 facts about the great beast, Aleister Crowley. I made a video, series 23. Another book I need to read. I've been reading it, and I need to make a video on. Little Gray Bastards. The Incessant Alien Presence. And years ago I found out about this. Apparently there's a theory that there's a hollow earth. So what's all that have to do with the... Apparently those are the continents and the oceans. Crazy, you think? All right, back to the book. Well, I do believe I've made my point. There's a lot of information out there about UFO and aliens, and a lot of it tying together with the Luciferian, Satanism, gray aliens, reptilian beings, watchers, golem, magic, witchcraft beings. And are they in cahoots with our government, bringing us the new age, the new world order, underground facilities, so that they can survive and thrive while the rest of us perish on Earth? What's the plan? What's it got to do with the 5G network? Chemtrailing in the sky, dumping chemicals, HARP transmitters, mind control, spying on us, and so much more. Even the Jewish president saying that the world has changed. And those who don't cooperate, Simon Perez, I've showed that in previous videos, will be poor and irrelevant. Why don't I show that video right this minute? It's only a couple minutes.
There are significant political changes on the map from day to day. First it was Tunisia, then Egypt, Libya, now Syria. What do all those changes mean for the Middle East? And all that's happening, is it positive for Israel?
Yes. I mean, there may be a transitional period that will create some difficulties, but in the long run, yes, look. It's not that those countries are changing. All countries are changing because the world has changed. And nobody has a choice, either to go with the modern age or to lag behind and really become poor and irrelevant. What's happening is, governments are no longer controlling their own economy. Instead of a national economy, you have a global economy. Now, if you want to enter, you have to follow the new rules of economy.
Exactly.
So you see what he said. This is the three-time president of Israel, Simon Perez. So I need to do a video on him from material out of the Jewish encyclopedia, the Encyclopedia Judaica. And also I did have another short clip about the chemtrailing they're doing in the sky and other seemingly threats to we the people. And as you saw by that last clip, I got that out of Brother Nathaniel's videos. I find his videos informative, so I enjoy listening to what he has to say, as well as many other videos and comments from people who watch my videos, giving me new leads to follow. So it does expand my knowledge base, and I do appreciate it. Anyways, see this clip on weather warfare, chemtrailing, and what do you think?
But as it turns out, Indigo Skyfold is the most secret covert black operation in world history. It is the jewel of all black operations, and its purpose is actually threefold: to control weather, to implement warfare, and to cover up the existence of a second sun in our solar system. The operation was specifically designed to accomplish the latter of the three by the use of aerosol spraying during sunset and sunrise, which are the most available times of the day in which to observe the Nibiru system. The operation itself is concentrated in highly populated areas. So, if you are situated close to an urban area, look towards the sun, and you will more likely than not see and recognize what I am speaking of. Chemtrails, as they are referred to, consists primarily of the following chemicals: selenium, aluminum, thorium, and barium, processed into submicron particles and ionized with a special electric charge. Now, this operation is covert in its nature, so the pilots that are involved in the process are informed that the procedure is being initiated as a global warming greenhouse gas mitigation strategy. So in essence, the pilots are instructed to follow orders in a procedure that has the earmarking of a don't ask, don't tell policy. This is how the intelligence community operates on a need-to-know basis, restricting knowledge of an operation to just a handful of select people who are then responsible for the implementation of a number of black operations, such as the construction of deep underground bunkers, where they have access to special contractors for their top secret purposes. Another sinister purpose that involves chemtrailing, which is controversial, is its use by HAARP to create weather modification as a military tool. HAARP is a system that transmits microwaves into the ionosphere and our atmosphere to move jet streams from their normal positions, which in turn changes weather patterns. It can be labeled as a means to create warfare with enemy countries by producing severe drought and floods in designated areas. What is so disturbing about this is that there are still so many people who have no knowledge that this is happening.
I must say, sometimes you wonder about all this stuff. But all I can do is continue to do my research and try to find out what the truth is. Press releases are crazy these days. Other activities like the 5G network are crazy. They've been chemtrailing here in the mountains of North Carolina. Crazy lately. Insane amounts of material dumped in the sky. So I'm about ready to make another video for August. Tomorrow's the last day of the month. I took a video today. So anyways, back to this book. Page 72. The mother of all underground tunnels. In UFOlogy, stories of secret deep underground tunnel systems and high-tech tunnel boring machines that make them are often heard of in connection with sensational stories of secret underground bases that are jointly manned by those pesky aliens known as little grays and covert elements of the military-industrial complex. I don't know whether the little grays are real or not, nor do I know whether the alleged tunnel systems are real or not, but I do know that the United States military has extensive plans in the 1980s to construct a very deep, hundreds of miles long, underground tunnel system somewhere in the western United States. And in 1968, the Office of High-Speed Ground Transportation of the United States Department of Transportation drew up plans for a deep underground tunnel system in the Northeast. This system was to have run between Washington, D.C., Boston, and Massachusetts. This chapter explores both the military and the DOT tunnel system plans. Remember, this is Richard Sauder, a guy with a PhD who is a well-known author. So who you're going to believe? Before presenting the documentation on these projects, I would like to say that I don't reject out of hand the possibility of secret underground tunnel systems. Far from it. In fact, based on much research and many conversations, I think there may very easily be secret tunnel systems deep underground that may be quite lengthy. But since I cannot rigorously document their existence, I will restrict the discussion to the presentation of what can be documented, the U.S. government plans for deep underground elaborate tunnel systems. So you can get the contracts that the government does with corporations, and you can read those contracts. You may not be able to find the tunnels, but you can read the contracts, the money spent by the government. The U.S. National Committee on Tunneling Technology, the Pentagon plans for a deeply based missile tunnel system. In 1972, the chairman of the Federal Council for Science and Technology asked the presidents of the National Academy of Sciences and the National Academy of Engineering to establish a U.S. National Committee on Tunneling Technology. So I guess they were serious back in 1972, while the CIA, some of them secret services, were shipping heroin, LSD, cocaine, marijuana, and all that to the citizens, helping to promote the hippie movement. A lot of books out there like propaganda. I've gone over many books. Like I said, I'm going to go through my whole entire series in the next year, completing my 5th year, providing I'm still around to do so, and review all those books again and again, focusing in on these 200 plus books and probably adding a few more to the series. So back to this book. The committee functions as the United States focal agency in the field of tunneling technology to assess and stimulate improvements in tunneling technology applications and to coordinate U.S. tunneling technology activities with those of other nations. Remember, the secret societies don't just control the USA, they control the world, as you just saw the Simon Peres, the Jewish president, say in this video. And the rest of us don't have a choice about what's coming, even though it may be our doom, enslavement, or death. We don't have a choice. Globalism is in, nationalism is out, and they're going to dump more chemicals and more toxins on we the people, and there's not a darn thing we can do about it. So it seems. Its members are drawn from a wide variety of federal, state, and local government agencies, from academia departments and universities, and from private industry, labor organizations, and consulting firms. In 1977, the USNC, the United Nations National Committee on Tunneling Technology, had the following subcommittees. And William Mont, he's pretty popular on YouTube, he claims that the university systems across the United States have been militarized. So have they reached a point where they've got control of the medical establishment, the universities? It seems so. And the majority of the population are being deceived and every day and receiving propaganda. And a lot of people are buying it. So we got the following subcommittees: the management of major underground construction projects, deep cavity and tunnel support systems, on-site investigation, demand forecasting, education, training, contracting practices. Deep underground tunnel plans. In 1981-1982, the USNC, National Committee on Tunneling, sponsored a special project called Workshop on Technology for the Design and Construction of Deep Underground Defense Facilities. So what I did yesterday is I went on Yahoo image site and I plugged in secret underground cities and tunnels. And there's an amazing amount of material on Yahoo image site with all those photos of the underground systems and a link there that you can get a whole website on that particular photo. Unbelievable. YouTube, just type in truck drivers report delivering goods to underground cities. see some of those videos. Look up U.S. government purchases 30,000 guillotines. Like I've said many times in my videos, all you have to do is look. The evidence appears to be there that something is planned, and apparently it involves depopulating the planet. Wherever that book is I just had. The Population Bomb. This will probably be my next video, reading from this book. Kennedy assassinated for what? What was he trying to expose? In his famous speech, he said he was going to expose all this stuff. What president approved Alternative 3? The 3 different options on how to depopulate the planet, to bring about this new age and new world order. Because of all the propaganda they got with the limits to growth and many other books, convincing them that the whole planet was probably going to explode with too many people. We're going to run out of water and food and everything. Barely have enough room to move around. I remember a Star Trek show like that once. All right. The project was sponsored by the U.S. Bureau of Mines under contract number JO1999025. So this particular author with a PhD has looked up all the contracts and naming all the parties to the contracts. I'm just going to skip over that because I'm running out of time on this video. But I will say this on page 75. Electric power would be obtained from either fuel cells or nuclear reactors. Spare tunnel boring machines would also be stored in the tunnel system. The plan mentioned deep underground shops for the complete repair of tunnel boring machines. So if there is a nuclear war or whatever, pole shift, some catastrophe, these people have machines and workshops, underground supplies to be able to even dig themselves out, according to this book. There were to be special tunnel boring machines for digging out from deep underground after a nuclear attack, so that reserve nuclear missiles stored thousands of feet underground could be fired in retaliation. So even after a nuclear holocaust, these people are going to have learned nothing. They're going to bore a hole back to the surface, according to this author, and launch some more nuclear missiles on the world. Are you speechless? In the event of war, the base would be sealed off and power for the underground system of tunnels, tunnel boring machine repair shops, crew quarters, missile nest would need to be internally generated. Boeing Aerospace Company published the results of a study in 1984 that set forth plans for power regeneration in a sealed deep ICM base. And there's a lot of YouTube videos about people in Nebraska, Ohio, wherever, hearing these noises like something's grinding away underneath them on the ground. You've probably seen the videos. And I always thought that was probably tunnel boring machines at work completing the system. Just using my God-given brain. After examining several options, Boeing decided that the iron chloride fuel cells would be the most efficient way to generate electricity. In this power generation scheme, huge underground tanks store liquid chlorine that is combined with hydrogen to form hydrochloric acid. This chemical reaction generates electricity, and so on here. Let me just move ahead. There's some pictures in this book. Like I said, I can't read the entire book, but you can go online to Yahoo image site and look up secret underground bases or underground tunnels, and you will see hundreds of interesting photos and links to websites and pictures like this and descriptions like this. There is an underground facility beneath the ridge of the Manzanzo foothills on the outskirts of Albuquerque, New Mexico. The underground installation, begun in the late 1940s, is on Kirkland Air Force Base. So they got all these pictures here. You can find these pictures on Yahoo image site. Secret underground bases and tunnels with all these descriptions, all these maps, linked to many different websites. You can spend quite a bit of time seeing what all this stuff is about. Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm filling in the blanks on my series. This was part of my own personal reading education during the past 13 years. Probably read this book about 7 or 8 years ago. Acquired it. Here's some of the machines. It's an interesting one here. I think this is a famous underground base. I believe this is probably one of the ones where the tractor trailer drivers are reported to have delivered goods. They come right in where my finger is on this highway system into the mountain. Lockheed's mysterious Helendale, California facility. The underground entrance, shown in close-up in the lower photo, is in foreground. Although the long paved surface would seem to be a landing strip, it is interrupted by 2 huge pylons which serve to render this landing strip unusable for conventional fixed-wing aircraft. So you've seen my collection of UFO alien books and documents. It appears people are seeing something. What kind of equipment, technologies does the government have? These secret societies who control our world, who appear to be bent on depopulating the planet, even according to the USA Georgia Guidestones. They want 500 million people. There are many other books out there saying that nothing is sustainable and that we humans are the problem on Earth with global warming even. They have alternative three different plans. The first one is nuking the world, ridding it of people. We know they have biological weapons and all kinds of other tools, even bringing out the 5G electromagnetic cell phone network, which is supposed to be connected to everything, billions of devices. And if you are microchipped, you might be one of the devices. Presidents have died. A lot of people have died. There's videos on YouTube. So many people who learned some of the secrets were assassinated, disappeared. What else I got in this book? Here's another interesting picture. Like I said, Yahoo image site. If you're interested in this conversation, get yourself a binder like I do. Go on there, print out some information, print out some pictures. Download the pictures, take them to the pharmacy. Here's the machines that they use to make the tunnels. So we know there's something else to our reality besides we humans. And what are these reptilians and gray aliens and other types of being, tall whites, blue avians? So I took a brief look at this book and added some other information. Just trying to show the whole picture between the chemtrailing, the 5G network, electromagnetic radiation, even the electromagnetic radiation we have now. The cell phones, there's nowhere you can go where you can't see people everywhere where the cell phone's stuck to their head. And they don't even know it, but it's cooking in their head. I lost the hearing on this ear for a while. I had to start using my cell phone on this ear. So it is detrimental. And if I put the cell phone in my back pocket when I'm busy doing something with my hands, after about 5 minutes, it starts to burn. So even I'm thinking, we got to get rid of these cell phones. They're bringing us and connecting everybody together. And I think it could be a technology, a tool used against us, certainly to track us. So thank you for watching my video, Rick Miracle Reporting. Go to my website, rickmiracle.com, left-hand side. You'll see a list like this. I try to keep it updated with 150 of the series that you can print out and all the videos in the series like you see over here. Some of them I have a lot, as you can see here. Some of them I still have to make, part 2s and part 3s. I just went with my intuition when I was doing this. You can see all the part 5s and part 4s and the names of the videos and the authors. If you print this out, you can go on YouTube or elsewhere, look up the authors, watch those people speak in person. You can control your own education. And on the right side of rickmiracle.com is a donate button, a PayPal account. When it says item to donate, just put in donation and donate some money to my research for me to move forward. I would appreciate it. So far, I haven't got a single donation. So if I get one, I'm going to mention it on a video and thank that person by the first name only. Thank you for watching my video, Rick Miracle Reporting.